Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Warwick F1 show. We have hit the 46th episode of the 2025 season, and we have come off a race week in Austin. We're going to another one in Mexico, because I'm bringing you guys, alongside with my guests, who I will introduce in short order, a preview for the Mexican Grand Prix, which should place the centre stage to a championship battle that is beginning to rage. I'm your host Anwar, and I'm joined once again by the same guests on the last episode. Funnily enough, we are joined by my two co-hosts Daniel and Lucy, ever presents on the show, and then we've also got returning guests in Addy and Alex. So thank you all for coming onto the show. I guess my first question, we are going to the Rodriguez Brothers circuit. If we wanted to take the track in English, what's our opinions on this track? Do we find this one that is really good for racing, or do we expect this to be a little bit of a slow burn or potentially a boring race, Addy? Starting with you.
You know, I actually think we don't tend to talk a lot about Mexico when you just see the calendar. You never really say, oh, no one really likes this track or dislikes this track. It's one of the tracks, it's there. But I actually think, it's a very good racing track and has been for as long as it's been on the calendar. We've had some good races there. Obviously when Sergio Perez was, at Red Bull, or even just in Formula 1, the support for him would be quite immense. Mexican fans are always great fans when it comes to Formula 1. So I always think it's one of those tracks where we don't really talk enough about it, but it's always a good track, and it always has the possibility of having a very good race on it.
Daniel, is there a rebuttal or an agreement here?
Mostly agreement, except 2022, which I remember being an absolute stinker. But on the whole, it's been decent. I like the is that the word? Peculiarities.
You can speak English.
The circuit. Unlike some on the podcast, I can speak English, yes. Its elevation is one of its endearing factors, of course. Means DRS isn't quite as effective, but do you really need it when you have such a long straight? So the elevation is one of the key factors. Although, fun fact about Mexico City, it is actually sinking. Did you know this?
What, like Venice?
Venice is sinking?
I think Venice is sinking.
Venice is sinking.
Yeah, it's sinking.
Mexico City's built on a swamp, so it's...
How do you know these things?
Because I know Aztec mythology.
You could have said so many things, and that wasn't the thing that I said.
The more you know.
And you've spoiled it now,
Sorry.
Lucy. It's just built on the bed of an ancient lake or swamp, and it's got groundwater depletion, apparently.
If anyone wants to know the Aztec mythology lore behind it, feel free to ask.
I'm going to hazard a guess and say no one does.
In theory, as a result of that, DRS should become more powerful in about 2,000 years, probably.
I don't think we will be around to tell the tale.
DRS won't be around in 2000. It won't be around in 1 year.
Yeah.
So that's kind of irrelevant, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed. Alex, where do you sit on the Mexican Grand Prix track? Is this one that it takes your fancy?
I feel like looking at the track itself, of course, there's a big straight, so at the start, so turn 1 is going to be quite far into this compared to the turn 1 in Kota, which was very, very short before you actually start. So I think there could maybe lacking in turn 1 overtakes, but what can I say? I think the race is pretty decent in terms of apart from like you said, 2022 was pretty bad, but I particularly enjoyed the 2024 race when Carlos of course gave it his all to secure his final race win for Ferrari.
Yep.
Would have been, yes.
Yeah. So
Ferrari's most recent race win as well.
Yeah.
How sad. How so sad.
That will definitely not play into my predictions later.
That ominous foreshadowing, I hear. Anyway, let's talk about who we expect to be the big players in this Grand Prix, because we've come off the back of McLaren's not really showing anything. They've not won in 4 races, if I'm not mistaken, because Verstappen won 3 of the last 4. Russell was the one who won that 4th. Do we think McLaren return to form here, or do we think, starting with you, Lucy, do you think they return to form?
I mean, to be honest, the track characteristics of this circuit are quite random. They're quite specific, mainly because of the altitude. But it means that I don't really know whether I can confidently say that any team's going to have a particular continuation of form or return to form. apart from maybe Red Bull, because they have one. Verstappen's got the most wins of anyone around that circuit, and Red Bull have the most wins for a constructor, so they clearly go quite well. Norris has always quite liked this track in terms of drivers. Piastri has very much not liked this track historically, although some circuits this year, like Zandvoort, for example, where he didn't perform as well last year, those would be the ones where he's performed well this year. So, maybe we're going to see an Oscar Piastri win by 45 seconds or something, but I doubt it. To be honest, I can't really predict a return to form for McLaren, mainly because I just don't really know what's going to happen.
It does feel very much up in the air, and I think this is for the better for our entertainment, right? I think we've walked in so many race previews here on the pod and said, okay, we're expecting McLaren to look out the front row of the grid in qualifying. We expect them to look out the top two positions on the podium. That's not necessarily a given anymore, is it, Addy? We've seen Red Bull be, in Verstappen's hands at least, be pretty competitive, and we're going to a track where they have historically done very well. Verstappen has also historically done really well too. Do you think this is another great opportunity for Max to take another massive T-Rex-sized bite out of a championship advantage that is withering away?
I mean, as you said, the history around Mexico and the previous results we've had would back that, Verstappen has a very good chance of, cutting that deficit even greater. But yeah, I do agree. We just don't know what McLaren will turn up, and we don't know what each of the drivers will turn up. It's not even just a matter of how the car is going to be. What are the drivers thinking about? What is Norris thinking about? He had a decent race getting P2 last time out, but he's still thinking. Is he still thinking about Verstappen? Is he thinking about Piastri? What's he thinking about? Piastri's in dire need of a good result. Just to make himself feel more comfortable. After a really rough patch that he's been having, or is this where the Piastri slump really truly begins? We just don't know, and I think that's what's going to make this Grand Prix so interesting, because there are so many unknown factors, ignoring everything that's happening in constructors with the fight for P2, because it's still a very close affair between Ferrari, Mercedes, and even Red Bull. There's so many factors in Grand Prix that could play a factor in who finishes where, that you can't really say for certain, even if the history would back that, Max should feel pretty confident about this.
Let's pivot to the championship fight, because that's ultimately what people want to talk about. Let's say for everything what we want to talk about as podcasters as well. Daniel, my question here is, we're going to a set of tracks like Lucy mentioned that Piastri hasn't really performed very well at the past, and I think over the course of this final stretch of races, it's a stretch of races where I wouldn't have a lot of confidence in him to really perform at his best. I don't think he really has a fond track going forward, barring Qatar. What do you think he needs to do to try and right the wrongs of the last few races? Because if his form continues, and Verstappen's form continues, and Norris's form continues, the championship advantage that he had 3 or 4 races ago would have evaporated.
For sure, yeah. I was going to say he just needs to drive fast like he knows he can. I think that's the key, is to unlock the performance that he used to have, right? But the fact of the matter is he hasn't had that performance at Mexico in the past. Last year he qualified 17th, and there was no real reason. He was just kind of a bit slow. And, he wasn't caught out by red flags or anything, is what I'm trying to say. So that makes it even harder for him to take learnings from last year, when last year wasn't a very constructive Grand Prix for him in terms of pace. So I don't think there's much that he can do for now in terms of race specific preparation. Of course he can prepare in the ways that he prepares for every other race, which I think is important for him to keep the rituals that he had earlier in the year going forth. Because when you change your approach to a race weekend, that's when it starts going a bit south, I think. So he just needs to keep what he had when he was unlocking all that performance. And I think that's just the key for Piastri, really, is just getting back to it.
Yeah, I think he desperately needs. I guess, Alex, my question to you would be, do you have the degree of confidence that, because he has in the past, he has kind of righted some of the demons in the past, hasn't he? You mentioned Zandvoort, Lucy, right? About it's not a track he's historically done well at. Yeah, he was incredibly comfortable when he won that race. Do you think Piastri is capable of doing that here in Mexico too?
I mean, I'm looking at the 17th and qualifying, and I'm thinking, how much time has he dedicated on actually wanting to get better at Mexico, and because this track is really important in the order of play, because of course Mexico and Brazil are going to be possibly the most pivotal races in terms of just in general deciding the championship, because if Max does end up gaining 10 points on Lando and Oscar, then the championship is his. But of course it's currently not in Max's hands, it's in mainly Oscar's hands, because if he does get a good Mexico, then that's going to turn the odds completely again. Everyone's saying Verstappen's back, but if Oscar does end up pulling a win in Mexico, then that's really promising for him, and also really bad news for Lando, because I think Lando did get a good result in Mexico. I think he finished P2. So, yeah, I do think Lando is going to, realistically, if Oscar hasn't put in that oomph, that desire to win the championship by concentrating on races such as Mexico and Brazil, where he didn't do well last year, then yeah, I do think Norris can gain a lot. And Verstappen, of course, because P8 in Mexico and P8 in Brazil last year is, if he gets it this season, he is out of the championship.
Is it that dramatic, Lucy?
Yeah, I think that as well, on the point of Piastri needing to sort of focus in on the races where he didn't perform as well last year, I think kind of the season so far has indicated that has been the case. He's sort of, it really feels like this year he's come in and it's almost like he's specifically been focusing on the areas where he was struggling last year. Like last year there was a lot of talk about how he kind of struggled with his tyre management, and this year that hasn't really been a problem for him. Which would maybe lend the impression that maybe he might go fairly well at Mexico, because he's put quite a lot of effort into it. I also think for Piastri as well, the thing is that obviously a win for him would massively restore his confidence, because he hasn't had one since Zandvoort. But it is also worth noting that Norris hasn't had one since Hungary. He won Hungary, didn't he?
Yes, he
did win Hungary.
Hungary was the race where he played the alternative strategy.
Yeah, Hungary was Norris. Yeah, sorry, I can't remember who wins any races.
There's too many races, that's why.
But so I don't even think that Piastri necessarily even kind of needs to win. I think the thing is that right now he's sort of leaking points in the championship with every race, even if it's just a couple each time. Last weekend was a particularly bad one for him, but even Singapore was kind of, even those 3 points make a difference. So I think really for him it's kind of finishing ahead of Verstappen, but particularly Norris, because he is still the most imminent threat to Piastri in the championship. And Verstappen's kind of an uncontrollable variable for Piastri, whereas Piastri and Norris have sort of been fighting for the championship all season. So in a way that kind of dynamic's more controllable from both sides of the garage.
Can I just say, the situation has changed for Oscar Piastri in terms of the weekend is not structured the same way it used to be for him, because you remember, I know it seems like a while ago, but going into COTA, the talk of the paddock was the repercussions that Norris was going to suffer and Piastri was going to benefit from. It's probably all but confirmed that those repercussions are that Oscar Piastri is being treated as a number one driver in certainly Q3, which means he gets to decide the run plan for each of the drivers. And when you look at COTA, qualifying was certainly one of his weaknesses. And maybe it's that unfamiliar variable that you're not used to, so you can't get into the swing of things. It's kind of that one thing that knocks you off your perch and kind of disrupts the usual flow of things, is kind of getting in his head a bit more than usual.
I think, regardless of what you think of the papaya rolls, we've kind of echoed our sentiments very clearly. This is a change. He is now, like you mentioned, taking that. He's got priority in what he decides in terms of run plans. Do you think something like that might be getting into his head, Addy? Just the fact that he's got this now in some way, some unfamiliar or maybe some would argue unfair advantage now, but he now has the pressure to try and capitalise on that.
I think it definitely would be playing a part in it. Sometimes we forget just how young Piastri actually is relative to everyone else on the grid. You know, he hasn't exactly been there for as long, so definitely not as long as Norris in comparison. So sometimes we forget that it's normal to still show some sorts of like, uncertainty or, be a bit naive when it comes to strategies or whatnot. Which isn't necessarily a criticism of him. That's just part of the development as a driver, and obviously he will get more used to it the more he has to spend time in this scenario. But yeah, I think definitely it's going to be a factor in this ring just to see how he just manages everything, because ultimately he doesn't necessarily have to win this race, but he has to be able to still get a decent enough of points to where he can't have what he had happen at Kota happen again. He cannot afford to have that happen.
If he does win, how much of a gut punch would that be to Verstappen's hopes and then Norris's hopes in your eyes?
I don't think Verstappen particularly would be that bothered, because Verstappen has always come in with the mindset of, he knows he is not the front runner. He is the one that has to accumulate the most points out of any of the top three. To be to be in contention. He has to, win almost all the races or whatever, but I think Piastri's job more so is damage limitation. I think Norris is the one where if Piastri really got a really decent result, be it a victory or just a decent amount of points ahead of Norris, it's a big blow to Norris, because Norris, whilst we've criticised him at some points, has he really taken advantage of certain scenarios or not? He's still come and gotten the points, and those still are valuable points, where Piastri is, sort of flustered. But if Piastri gets a victory in Mexico, that's a really big blow, both to Norris and Verstappen, but especially to Norris. And if that is the case, it'll be interesting to see how Norris handles it.
I also would probably be a massive momentum shifter as well. I mean, I know, Daniel, you don't believe in momentum as a concept in Formula 1, which is a fair criticism. I think in certain sports like football, that's much more relevant than in Formula 1, because you have that week-long break. But if it does have an impact, that impact will surely be neutered by having a kind of a victory against the run of play in some way.
Yeah, I mean, I only said that because Norris himself said that he doesn't believe in momentum, and a couple of the other drivers chimed in. I think it was in a press conference. They said that the momentum doesn't really exist. Whether you extrapolate that to negative momentum as well, it remains to be seen, kind of. Obviously, from Piastri's form, you'd probably argue that negative momentum does exist in Formula 1, but just in terms of resetting, that has been a strength of the championship contenders this year relative to last year's performance. Lucy brought it up. Piastri, Netherlands last year compared to this year, he had a great reset. So, but yeah, if there is such a thing, then they need to start. Verstappen needs to. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, basically give the number 33 to someone else, because Verstappen won't be needing it again.
Oh,
if momentum exists, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, I like that.
That's a banging line.
That is a real good line. One of the best lines we could
Maybe we
have.
should title our episode that.
Maybe. Alex, I've got a question for you, because we've kind of talked about the championship discussion quite a bit now, isn't it, between Verstappen, Norris, Piastri. We haven't really talked about Mercedes and Ferrari, because I think Mercedes, they won a race relatively recently in Singapore, and Ferrari looked like they kind of showed a bit of an uptick in form over the course of Austin. Do you expect either of those teams to play any role of significance?
I think Mercedes have had like a decent season. I mean, not as good as 2024, but of course, George finishing under the safety car in Canada was lucky, but Singapore, they did actually get like a proper
Deserved win, right?
Deserved win, yeah. And I feel like, of course, I think I may have cursed George in the last episode for Kota. That's why he finished P6. But I do think Mercedes is in the right position that they should be in, because if they do end up getting P2 in the constructors, then props to them. They've had a good season. I think it's Ferrari which you need to look at, because they should be getting P2, but they're not. So, yeah, it's quite unfortunate that like they haven't got any race wins, because of course Monaco is Monaco, but yeah, because Charles has been getting quite a run of P3s. He's got 6 podiums this season. However, no race wins, so I do think that is quite a missed opportunity, especially since he did get pole in Canada. In Austria.
just sort of circling back to George Russell, obviously it is very much a outside chance of outside chances, but he is still technically in contention for the championship. Whether he actually will care about that or not, only George Russell knows. But, you know, just a little bit of an extra dynamic. Is that something that's going through George Russell's mindset? And, you know...
No way, right.
Like,
I think...
Surely not.
I just think it'd be funny.
Surely not.
Surely
Certainly in
not.
terms of entertainment, it'd be interesting. But no, I genuinely think this season... No, but in all honesty, in terms of the season itself, this has been a sort of coming-of-age season for George Russell. You know, he's really moulded himself to, you know, as one of the drivers on that upper echelon, you know. And who knows how next season's going to be in terms of car development, but I think massive props to George. He's taken everything he's learned over his entire time, both, you know, as he was, you know, coming to form at Williams and then his move to Mercedes. Everything has really, like, accumulated into this one season where he's just been phenomenal for a vast majority of it, and, you know, props to him.
Yeah, it feels a very long way from the pre-season and even a little bit into the start of the season, where people were thinking, oh, is Kimi Antonelli going to completely wipe the floor with Russell? And even the talks about Russell not getting his contract renewed, which I personally think, it's crazy that I think that was always a stupid concept, but also could 100% have seen it happen.
Yeah, I mean, like, the fact that was even up to discussion, I think if you have Verstappen, Verstappen potentially you have to explore that, but he did nothing wrong to have his name and his seat threatened.
I think the reason that George Russell's contract was delayed so much, by the way, in case people didn't catch it, was he just wanted more days off to train, basically, from media and sponsor commitments, because he wanted to be his best self and the best athlete that he could possibly be going into possibly a championship contending year in 26 or even 27 if Verstappen hasn't booted him out the seat.
I also think he wanted multi-year. He wanted a 2+1 instead of a 1+1.
Yeah, that too. I think that was sorted pretty earlier on, though. They were just kind of combing through the fine details.
So what you've learnt there is Daniel's been sitting in on those Sicily meetings and understood what's going on. So
I was there in Sardinia as well.
Yeah, so we've got a guy on the podcast.
I
who's
was
got
there. I was flying the private jets.
Okay, right. I was the jet. But yeah, it was. I think Russell. We've said it so many times on this pod, haven't we? That we think he's been unreal this season. Very much deserved a championship contending car because he would genuinely be in the fight. It's a testament to his own ability and his performances this season that is even still mathematically possible for him to win. Even though I think we can all agree, it's not even an outside shot. It's like 1 in a million.
Objectively, though, the funniest scenario is that McLaren drivers keep double DNFing each other and we get a George Russell versus Max Verstappen championship fight.
Oh, that would be cinema, wouldn't it? Awesome. I think we don't really expect there's not a lot of expectation on the Mercs and the Ferraris here, really, Daniel, right? It's not like a...
Yeah, obviously Ferrari went well here last year with Carlos Sainz's win. I guess you could call it the Spanish conquest of Mexico, just like in the 16th century. But that's not going to happen this year, frankly, because they have a whole new car and it's not working very well, and they've just slipped back, and all hopes are on next year, as they always are with Ferrari. Mercedes are just an unknown, you just can't tell. That's it.
Right, on a separate related note, but still team related, I want everyone to tell me, I want no explanation from each of you, I want to just know the team name, who will be the leader of the midfield this time out in Mexico, starting with you, Lucy.
RB.
Alex, who have you put, who do you think is going to be the king of the midfield, the king of the tier 2?
Williams.
I'm going to ask for justification, is this because of the straights?
Yes.
Do you think this is the type of track that would suit Williams as the package?
Yes, I do think. Hot take, Albon will get points.
Well, I don't think that's very hot take. Albon getting points.
That's a cold take.
That's a pretty cold take.
That's fine.
It's giving me shivers.
Yeah.
Say it's more of a lukewarm.
No, it's not even lukewarm there. Come on. Daniel, how about you? Where you?
No,
say?
I completely agree, Williams.
Addy, are you going to make it three in a row?
Haas.
Ooh, why Haas?
I just think they've just gone through a period of really bad luck. with just how races have gone for them. I just think at some point they're just due a break, and I think, we've seen that the Haas's on their day can get a great result out of that car, be it their strategy or just the ability of Behrman and Ocon. I just think they're due some good luck, and, I think maybe this might be the time where they're due that good luck.
Interesting. I mean, I also, for one, think Williams will be the king of the midfield. I actually think, instead of Albon being kind of the front runner here, I do think Carlos Sainz has now finally got parity, at least, maybe even quicker, out of that Williams kind of battle, because Lucy, as the resident Williams fan, you don't seem very happy with my comment.
I'm just because I think that kind of it's definitely true that in the last couple of races, Sainz has been probably the better performer, but I don't think we can extrapolate.
You sound so Australian. Oh my god.
Yeah, sorry, I just the 50% Australian brain just.
Careful there.
Yeah. Yeah, my biases have been unlocked.
Oh no.
No, I don't think we could extrapolate that to the whole season, and Albon has kind of been pretty much the lead kind of driver. And also bear in mind he has had some fairly bad luck in some times as well.
I think the two Williams do like a good incident, to be fair.
It does depend on if Sainz can stop beefing with rookies as well, because he kind of restored the status quo in Kota, didn't he, by beefing with Antonelli, just like the rest of the season.
I think Sainz has run out of rookies to beef with, so I think he's fine.
Yeah, I mean, he's just revisiting them, I think. I think Antonelli's already been done, but he's just coming back for more.
He's coming back for second. He beefs rookies more, me or Carlos Sainz.
Honestly, I think it
It's
might
to
be.
me.
Yeah.
I'm already going to say it now. My DLF is a rookie. So,
It is. I was going to say we're about to find out.
yeah, we I'm not aiming at that. Let's be real, there was no
Please
discussion.
stop with my
Yeah.
shocked expression.
It's just a safe bet, guys. Come on. We're talking about prediction. We just hinted at it. Let's get into the prediction segment. So we've got a regular weekend. So we're going to do a poll prediction, top 5 prediction, DNF, and random prediction as per normal. Now, we've got 2 guests. So we've got 5 sets of predictions to go through. Adi, take us away. I want you, as the guest, to introduce us to some wild predictions, please.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but my pole position may not exactly be the wildest choice. I've got Verstappen. Just what else do you expect from him? But I think it'll be a pretty interesting qualifying session. But yeah, I just think Verstappen's just got it in him just to get pole position. In terms of my top 5, pretty standard affair for the most part. I've got Verstappen winning, but I don't think it'll be a grand slam like it was last time. I do think he will maybe have a fight for once, unlike last time out. But I still think he's plenty good enough to be able to get the result. I've got Norris coming in second. I think he'll give it his best shot in quali and then maybe get really close to Verstappen, but ultimately I think it might be just a bit short. The real interesting one for me is third place. I've got Lewis Hamilton in third place.
Honestly, inject it into my veins.
I think that would be the one result everyone would want, but Ferrari are on a bit of a high, and there's been a lot of talk as well about Lewis especially being sort of unhappy with how things have been at Ferrari in terms of not even just on a team performance level, but also just on a structural level. And he's had a good weekend, and I think he would really want to build on that. And yes, the Ferrari has been inconsistent, but I guess that also adds to the sort of flair to it. You don't know what Ferrari might turn up, and I think if there was any race where Lewis should continue and take it by the scruff of the neck to get a third place, I think it's Mexico.
Interesting. What's your 4th and 5th?
Fourth place, I've got Piastri. This is mostly based on current form. Again, I don't know what Piastri is going to show up in Mexico. So I could be wildly wrong, or I could be completely bang on. It's really just the spectrum. And then P5, I think I've just got George Russell, just, continuing the form he's had this season. I don't think the Mercedes is going to be particularly great around Mexico. We all know how inconsistent that Mercedes can be at times, but I think he'll still be well and good enough to be able to get it 5th place.
Awesome. Interesting. Daniel, why don't you reveal who your pole and top 5 are?
We think surprisingly similarly, Addy.
And that's normally a good thing, actually, because the predictions coming out of his mouth normally come to be true.
Yeah, you're in good hands, basically. Okay, pole position, yeah, Max Verstappen again. Do you know who's got the most poles in Mexico Grand Prix history?
Max Verstappen.
No. Any more guesses?
Oh, is it Jim Clark?
It's Jim Clark, yeah, from 63
He had to
67.
share the race win in 62, didn't he? Because his car broke down and used his teammates.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's pretend I also knew that.
See, I don't do any pretending as a host. I didn't know that.
The more you know.
The more you know. See, we're really informational here at the Warwick F1 show, aren't we?
Always.
Informational.
Yeah, that's a word. Informative. English is a strong. It's a very difficult language. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really struggling today. Ooh. Please put me out my misery, Daniel.
Okay, yeah, top 5, moving swiftly on. P1 is also going to be Verstappen, just on a roll, just doing well. P2 is, I think Ferrari are going to go quite well here, actually. I've put Charles Leclerc P2, and, like Hattie, Lewis Hamilton in 3rd position, getting his first podium, finally, for Ferrari, for the same reasons. And Norris and Russell are going to close out the top 5 in P4 and P5.
Who's in front of who there?
Norris and then Russell.
Okay, cool. So
There's a notable exception there. He's not in my DNF.
Okay,
I
right.
just haven't put Oscar Piastri.
interesting. Is that? I guess is that again on current form?
I forgot.
Right.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, you know
The thing
what?
is, last week I put very little thought into my predictions,
And it
I
worked.
scored 14 points. So I'm just thinking, if I just completely tapped out whatever name came to my mind, and I just omitted Piastri.
I like that. Sometimes thinking less is better.
Less is more.
Less is more, indeed. Alex, can you follow up? Are we going to go down the similar route of Ferrari coming to form, or are you going to buck the trend?
My predictions are scarily similar to Daniel's.
Ooh.
But I've gotten a 7 though. That's the thing. With what was it, 6 and 7 being, I'm just gonna say at this point. Same top 3 as Daniel. Russell and Norris switched around. I'm gonna say Antonelli might finish ahead of Piastri, so that's my 6-7. DNF, Stroll. For some reason he's the
We
only...
don't need to do all. We just need to talk. Oh, don't do DNF yet. We'll get to DNF in a bit. Don't worry. So just to clarify, your top 5, exactly the same top 3 as Daniel. So that was Verstappen, followed by Leclerc, followed by Hamilton.
I do think they'll get double podiums because 3, 4, and then 2, 3. Yeah, they're improving quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, this is surprisingly good form for a team that doesn't normally love to disappoint. So I think many Ferrari fans overall will absolutely bite your hand off that type of result. And then, Lucy, am I expecting to see a Williams in here?
No.
Right, this might be a good set of predictions.
Because I've worked out that when I predict that Williams are going to do well, they do really badly. So I've decided, even though this is a weekend which will suit Williams' car, that if I don't put them anywhere near my top 5, they will get a 1-2.
I like the logic. The logic works.
The logic's working. Also, I have accidentally stared into my torchlight a bit too much, and now I can't really read my notes because I've got spots in my eyes, but we try our best. This isn't my fault. This is the fault of the fuse box that means our lights aren't working. Pole, I've said Lando Norris. If we thought the previous predictions were delusional for Ferrari fans, wait till you hear this. I've said Leclerc P1. Then I've said Verstappen P2. Hamilton P3. Russell P4. And then Hadjar P5. And no, I will not be... What? I will not be elaborating on any of that.
That is so out of the ordinary. Like, oh my... Right, so we've got 4 people who actually have a lot of faith in Ferrari.
Actually, we just have a lot of faith in Hamilton's ability to finish in 3rd.
Right, I think it's time for some calm common sense on the pod, because I don't think, for whatever reason, I think Ferrari, this is the exact kind of trick with Ferrari. They get you to believe, they pump the hope into you, and they pop it they pop it with a pin, and it just disappoints them, and it leaves Ferrari fans all over the world crying. So I am not going to buy the hype. I'm not buying stocks in Ferrari. In fact, I'm shorting them right now, because I think I don't think it's going to be very good this weekend. I, for one, think that pole position is going to be Max Verstappen. I think he, once again... it is boring, but it might be right. We don't know, but we'll see. I think Verstappen is going to be the pole sitter. I don't think he wins though, and that's because I think Oscar Piastri is the person who rights the wrongs of the previous few races, puts kind of the discussion about him and pressure and buckling under it to bed at least, or under the bed for now. It might creep back out later at 3 a.m. in the morning, but we'll see. But I think Piastri will return to form. I think that he's going to be followed by Norris. So the two McLarens will be 1-2, which is surprisingly
controversial.
Yeah. I don't think many people would have expected that, but I am hopeful for them. I think Verstappen doesn't fall too far away. I think he does finish third. I think Russell finishes fourth, and then I am going with... I'm going to take the role of Lucy here. I've said Carlos Sainz P5.
Someone had to.
I actually...
It's the alliance of beefing with rookies.
Yeah, I appreciate... game recognises game, right? So I see him do it, and I'm like, yeah, I aspire to be like that man. So I'm putting in P5.
Use just in, Anwar aspires to be like Carlos Sainz. Well, shocked.
Anwar really said, I see your beef at rookies and I raise you to it.
Yeah, one legend to another. That's a quote from Rango if you have watched that. But that's the top five. Addy, let's quickly run through everyone's DNF and random prediction. We'll go in. No, we'll reverse order. We'll go reverse snakes. I'm gonna hit you with a DNF and random. I did say that I'm saying a rookie for a DNF here, aren't I? And I'm not disappointing because I've said Ollie Behrman retires. Don't really no real justification behind it. Just think rookie. He's a rookie. I've not really said for a while. I'm gonna throw him in. And my random prediction here is going to be a unique one, and this is going to be double podiums for two different constructors that aren't the top three.
What?
So two double points finishes.
Double
points. Sorry, yeah. The maths wouldn't add up.
Spots on the
Yeah.
So confused.
Yeah. He also takes the constructor spot.
What is this? The 1982 Monaco Grand Prix?
So I'm saying two different non-top tier teams. So none of the top four, basically. So
So like
Williams
both,
downwards.
like both Williams and Haas getting double points.
yes, something like that. So two different constructors getting double points.
And I'm guessing we're counting the four as the main constructors. So
Yep.
McLaren, Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari.
Indeed, those are the ones that I'm excluding from this because naturally I think that's a sort of incredibly safe bet. But I think there will be two double points somewhere within those minor points. Lucy, how about you? What's your DNF and random prediction?
Well, you may have noticed, looking back at my predictions, that there is, in fact, there are probably two names that you might have expected to see on there which you can't find. And unfortunately, I can only predict one of them to DNF, but please assume that they're causing each other. So I've said that Piastri is going to DNF, but the implication is also that Norris is also going to DNF. I think that we're going to, we've done it in the sprint race. We've got to up the stakes now. Proper race, double DNF.
Ooh.
And then my random prediction, which I don't think is quali, but it's kind of quali racy.
We'll hear it.
Hear it. No two teammates start on the same row of the grid.
I like that.
So like.
Okay, I get it. Yeah, I'm just wondering how random it is.
That is a good point.
Yeah.
Do we get enough? No, the issue is the Alpines at the back.
No, they got double Q2 last weekend.
No, but that doesn't mean
They could
they were
still
in the
start
same
on
row.
On the same
They were
slot next to each
they
other.
were fourth,
No, I thought he was saying like
they were
double
14th,
Q1.
15th. That's my point. They
Yeah.
seem like a two peas in a pod type of team,
I
right?
I think
Right.
there's enough variability that it's random, but I am happy to change it. And
I actually don't have any objections to that.
No, I think
No.
it's fine. It's unique.
Okay, so
listen, I've run out of material for these random.
so are you saying two teammates not on the same row?
Yeah, no two
Yeah.
teammates are on the same row. So, like, there's nobody, like, 13th and 14th aren't from the same team.
Got ya.
Stuff like that.
Yes, I get it.
Everyone is on a different row to their teammate.
In a nice little colourful grid. We don't have the 2x2. No,
I'm gonna
Noah's
have
Ark.
I'm going to have to actually write down the starting grid order, aren't I? Oh, God, I forgot that Carlos Sainz has a 5-place grid penalty.
Wait, what did she say specifically?
You predicted P5
P5.
for Carlos Sainz. What are you doing?
I believe. I believe.
That's one
Carlos
recovery
Sainz-
drive.
Carlos
All he
Sainz-
has to do is to get pole.
Pole and then
That's what
overtake
I'm
one
saying.
person. Pole position to overtake one person.
Guys, when it happens, you know what to do.
I will be having a party if Carlos Sainz gets pole position.
She would. I do. That is very believable. Alex, why don't you bring some sanity back to this this podcast? Can you give us some your DNF and random prediction?
DNF Stroll for the reason that he hasn't DNF'd yet for some reason. Like this
What
season
in a race?
in a race.
What?
What?
I've got to verify
That can't be.
That can't be true. It's Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll retirement. Now, if it turns out,
Oh my god, you're right.
What?
What the hell?
There are numbers underneath every single race.
Wait, was his sprint the first time that he didn't finish something?
I don't think he retired in any other sprint race.
that is
What the?
You know,
mad.
maybe we're seeing the best of Lance Stroll. He's actually finishing
This
races.
is the best.
I'm in shock. Okay, yeah,
Guys,
you know
I think
what?
we
Taking
need a-
me by
I think we all need a
surprise.
moment, guys.
That's mad. Right, okay,
Wait,
DNF.
he finished 5th in the Miami sprint. as
Yeah.
well.
Right, yeah.
He's actually had
In
some
fairness,
like,
it was raining
decent
during that
peaks.
sprint race.
And we know how good he is in the rain.
He does like some rain.
Unless it's Brazil and then he decides to...
Unless he pulls a turkey as
Well, to be honest, as well in Brazil, he clearly quite liked the rain. He just didn't want to drive in it.
He wanted to
Well,
swim in it.
Yeah, sometimes you got to learn to dance in the rain.
I will not start singing in the rain.
We're not
because I
doing
feel
that.
might get me banned.
Yeah, we don't have the copyright for it. So,
Also, I like Alex how he hasn't DNF'd so far this season, so you've decided to go for him as DNFing.
Logical.
It's
That's
about
great.
time, it's
That's
about
great.
time.
I like it.
okay, what's your random prediction then?
My random is a little bit less chaotic than DNF Stroll, but 3 plus at least 3 DNFs and safety cars.
Wait, so explain that again. So is that 3 DNFs and 3 safety cars, or what? What you said?
Well, with DNF usually causes a safety car.
Not all the time. Primarily not so this season, though.
Not
So-
so this season.
So 3.
Are you saying 3 safety cars, basically?
Yeah, 3 safety cars.
Oh, right. I wish you the best of luck, man.
Seems like to predict one safety.
Oh,
car.
we normally say 1 safety car as a random prediction because we don't
No,
see
no,
it.
we say 2.
Two, but-
Anwar predicted 2 last time.
And it didn't come through.
Yeah.
I wish you the best of
Sounds
luck.
like a you problem.
I'm going to ignore that comment. Daniel, what, can you fill the void here? What's your DNF and random prediction?
Yeah, sure. DNF, I've gone for Yuki Tsunoda because this is certainly his bogey track. I was looking at the stats. His DNF there in 3 out of 4 visits to Mexico, and it's because he's had contact in all of those DNFs that have resulted in his retirement. In the one he didn't DNF in 2023, he still made contact with Piastri and got spun around. I think it's bad luck a lot of the time, but it's still stats. 3/4 DNF is not a bad proportion, in my opinion. And the random prediction. Okay, we're going to do a lot of clarification today in these random predictions. One of the drivers who are on at least 5 penalty points will get more penalty points this weekend.
Okay, so you're looking at drivers who have already been a little bit naughty.
Accrued in the past year at least 5 penalty points, and I have the drivers if you want them.
Okay, I like this. Let's
Nice and organised.
I like this.
Yeah.
More organised than the host.
They include Yuki Tsunoda, so both of these could come in at the same time, and include Antonelli, Piastri, Lawson, Stroll, Verstappen, and Behrman, who of course is on the most on 10. So those are the
Wait,
drivers.
Bandit could get a race.
Yeah,
Is it 12?
he's very close.
Yeah. I thought he.
Remember when
I don't think it expires for a while either.
No, it doesn't, because a lot of them are pretty...
No, Brazil. He got one.
He got one in Brazil.
2 in Brazil for the touching Colapinto up the rear.
Okay, so he's
Which is
losing
weird.
2.
Yeah.
But still, that's
Brazil.
pretty
Still
8.
close.
That's still 8.
Yeah.
Remember when we all thought Verstappen was going to get a race
Well,
ban
that
for
was a-
penalty points?
That was a throwback.
He's still on 9, but they must be coming off this weekend, right?
Yeah, they are coming
Yeah,
off
some-
soon.
last year was
They are
crazy.
coming off soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got like 7,000 in Mexico.
That was a race. That was one of the races.
Rightfully
One
so,
of the races
honestly.
of all time.
Yeah, Addy,
I
why
don't
don't
really remember it.
we were in the Clarendon for it? I
I
remember.
still don't remember it.
Addy, why don't you finish this off, shall we? What is your random prediction? What's your DNF?
I'll start with the random prediction, because that's the... Well, if we're wishing Alex the best of luck, then I really feel like I'm clutching at straws here. Even though I think the top 5 is going to be relatively stable in terms of how it starts and end, for some reason, I'm getting the vibe that this Grand Prix might be a bit chaotic with all of the different subplots we have. So I'm saying, as my random prediction, there'll be at least one red flag
Yeah.
and one safety car.
Long day.
It's a long shot.
No, you know what? It's just not happening.
We won't even make you
Yeah.
add the safety car. We'll take it
Yeah,
just
honestly,
for
we will.
one.
If you want to leave it a
Literally.
red flag,
One red flag, I guarantee it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
0 red flags in races.
if it happens,
I will pay you money if it happens.
Well, what's the stake? What's the stake, Lucy?
What's the stake?
We are not sponsored.
I've got a 50p in my wallet.
I'll take it.
Oh, okay, we've got a 50p bet on the show as well. I will make sure to add that to this description. Everyone likes to see a gamble.
3 is just sad, change it to 2.
Are we allowing him to revert? He's a guest. I think we should.
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it.
If it were you, I wouldn't stand for it, but because he's
Yeah, exactly. If it was you or Daniel or Lucy, I would absolutely not let you do this.
You
But
never let me do anything fun.
right, that's not very nice. But it's true. But also that brings us to you haven't done your DNF.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, sorry.
And as much as I want Ferrari to do well, I think with good there must come some bad. I think Charles Leclerc is going to be the recipient of the bad. I don't think he's going to make it to the end of the race, unfortunately.
I don't think that's not surprising, to be honest. I don't think the Ferrari is shown to be very reliable.
I love that somehow the Ferrari fan has made the most pessimistic predictions about how Ferrari's going to do.
I've been tortured long enough.
Yeah, Ferrari it's a complete fever dream being a fan of them, isn't it? But that brings us to the end to a very extensive and entertaining preview episode for the Mexican Grand Prix this weekend. I want to thank all my guests for coming along and joining me on the show. I want to invite everyone to come down to the Clarendon on Sunday, where we're going to do once again another race viewing. I believe race start, lights out, is at 8.
Yes.
So make sure you join us there. But outside of that, I want you guys to thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next episode where we'll be unpacking the events of, hopefully, fingers crossed, a really entertaining Mexican Grand Prix. So until next time, goodbye.